Hello and welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel, whichever one applies to you. My name is Kai, and this video is going to be about communication between humans and animals. This is going to be different from my video about whether or not dogs, and that video did kind of talk about whether or not other animals can understand human language, but it was primarily dogs. This video is more about communication in general between humans and other animals and how humans approach it. And right off the bat, I'm just going to say that I think we're going about it in the wrong way. And from everything I've seen, obviously there are probably researchers out there who are trying to learn the animals' communication styles and figure out ways to communicate with them that way. But the vast majority of stuff that I've seen and most of the general populace will have seen is ways of getting animals to communicate with us in ways that we can understand. So like the talking buttons, things for pets. I just saw a very short video on YouTube, which prompted me to make this video, where it was audio recordings of humans saying certain words to orcas, and the orcas mimicking these words back to them, which was incredibly cool. Like, I didn't know that orcas had that level of mimicry, that they were able to pretty accurately mimic the words that humans say. I mean, it does, now that I'm thinking about it, it does make sense, because like human speech, like I said in the other video, human speech is just an amalgamation of sounds that we use to describe certain things. And so even if the orcas didn't understand what the words meant that they were saying, they still were able to mimic them, which is pretty cool. But like, I've looked at, not very deeply, but I have looked at in the past different research projects where humans were working with dolphins or other like recognized intelligent animals. Seems to be a lot of like marine animals, more so than like land animals. But they were working with them to try and teach them like English or another human language, so that these animals, I've seen it a lot with dolphins, could communicate with us, like what they want, what they need, different stuff like that. And I think the goal is for the humans who are, facilitating and participating in these research projects to be able to gain a better understanding of the subjective experiences and perceptions of these animals, because it's a very interesting thing that we want to know about, obviously. Like, I would love to be able to know what is going through my dogs, like, I don't have a dog anymore, unfortunately. R.I.P. Maui. But my dog's head, I would love to know that. But I don't think us trying to teach them how to communicate with us in a way that we already understand is the right way to go. Not right now, at least. Like, at some point in the future, for sure, I think that would be a very beneficial thing to do. But right now, I think we are kind of being selfish in that regard. I don't think that, I don't think our technology and our understanding is at a point where it makes sense to do this. I don't think that it is fair to the animals. Um, Humans tend to pride ourselves on being more intellectually and like conceptually advanced than other animals because of the things that we have accomplished. But these animals, there's like dolphins, for example, and other um like porpoise like creatures like them, whales, stuff like that. These types of animals already have their own complex communication styles that, if we actually put in the work to learn, and either we figured out how to uh, mimic these sounds and use these sounds ourselves biologically or mechanically in some way, I think that would be the best way to go, to not only understanding how their minds work, what their subjective experiences are, and like why they use this communication uh, style, which obviously one of the reasons is biological necessity and structure. Um, then I think that would lead us to infinitely more results than we could ever get by just ignoring their communication styles and trying to teach them ours. Like, if we look at human to human language and uh, like learning another language, we know that the best way to become fluent in a language is not through institutional learning or like uh, academic study. It is through immersion in the culture that language is spoken in. So you can take two people, and I know that this is a real thing that works because I've known people, like I've had friends who did this. So like, you can take two people. Let's say they want to learn Spanish and they want to learn the Spanish that is spoken in Spain. You take one person who just studies through like a language learning app. Let's say Babbel, because Duolingo is not super good, but I've heard Babbel is better, even though it is behind a paywall. So we have one person who is going to learn Spanish primarily through Babbel, and once they hit a certain level, they will go and start speaking with Spaniards. And then we'll take another person, and we're going to assume for this example that these two people have the same ability to learn things. They have the same learning styles. So you take another person and you drop them in Spain with like with a friend who is from Spain, who grew up in Spain and knows the culture and language and stuff. When you drop them in Spain and you tell their friend, do not speak English to them as much as you can help it. Let them learn it through exposure. It could take the person learning on Babbel anywhere from 6 months to a year to get to a conversational level in Spanish. But the person that you drop in Spain and they have to learn through exposure to be able to even interact with other people properly. That person is going to be conversationally, like, maybe not conversationally fully fluent, but they will be at a pretty good conversational level in Spanish within 2 to 3 months. Like, and that's a generous estimate. Like, it could potentially take longer, but their understanding of the language is going to be a lot deeper than the person learning through Babbel, because Babbel can't teach you the culture really. Like, you can learn about a culture through textbooks and online resources and like people telling you about it for years and never fully understand it. The only way to fully understand and learn about a culture is to go and experience it and be in it. That's the only way to properly and fully learn and understand a culture. We get very, very close in some of the study methods that we have, like like anthropology and art, and the other one, like the study of ancient civilizations and cultures. But those researchers and the people that study it, they're never going to understand the depths of that culture because they'll never be able to experience it. Like, true ancient Roman culture is not a thing anymore, and it hasn't been a thing for hundreds of years, and there is no way for us to fully understand that culture because we can't go and experience it. We can't immerse ourselves in it. And so I think with animals, uh, if we want to have any significant, like, real relationship with these animals that we're trying to uh, study and gain a communication bridge with, I don't think we're going to do that currently by just teaching them how to communicate with us in a way that we understand. I think that we would have to learn their language, so to speak, and like go and experience whatever form of culture that they have. Like, I think that's the only way for us to fully understand what is going on in their mind and in their world. Like with dolphins, I don't think we will ever fully understand why dolphins do all the things they do and how they think and feel about it if we don't learn their style of communication and how to communicate with them that way, and if we don't go out with them and immerse ourselves in their kind of culture. I feel like there's another word to use there instead of culture, but I'm not too sure what it is. Like, I'm not sure if culture as we understand it is inherently a human concept or not, or whether it is just a descriptive word for a concept that we have that may be different from how that concept is represented by other animals. And so I don't think that we'll ever be able to truly understand dolphins, for example, and how they work, why they work, what they think and feel about that from inside a lab where where their movement is restricted to a certain area and they're not in their natural habitat. I don't think we'll ever get that. Like, I think if we wanted to get that understanding, we would have to go out into the open ocean with our scuba gear and stuff and immerse ourselves in the dolphins' lifestyles. Learn how they communicate, learn to communicate with them in that way. And then eventually, I think if we needed to study them more in a more controlled setting, that we could get consent from them. We could ask them. We could be like, hey, will you come back to me to this place where you won't be able to swim back out into the ocean for a while because we'll be, studying you in a more controlled environment, but eventually we will let you back out. Will you come with us? And I think if the dolphins saw us putting in that effort and that work to and respect of their lifestyle, their communication style, us trying to bridge that gap in their world instead of us trying to force them into a bridged gap into our world, I think they would be more willing to be researched. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it would work. I think it would work a lot better. And I don't know, I just see, like in that video of the orcas I was talking about, I went and looked at the comments because, obviously I was super impressed and I wanted to see what other people were saying. And most of the comments were, wow, this is super cool. I can't wait for the orcas to be able to communicate with us. I wish they could already speak English and talk to us about stuff. And I'm like, no, you're thinking about this the wrong way. Like, if you want to know what they think about stuff, you have to learn how they communicate and communicate with them that way. Because the ways that they communicate are going to be significant to the environment that they live in, the way, the social structures that they have in their lives. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like humans have become, as a species, not like every human being is super self-centered, but as a species, I think we have become very self-centered in the world, and we often forget that other animals out there are having their own subjective experiences, are communicating in their own ways, are evolving in their own ways, and that they're not like us, like in the way that we think. Like, they are different from each other and us, and we are different from them and other animals. Like, we have to be able to acknowledge that fact before we can ever establish a proper communication channel, you know? Um, yeah, I think that's really it for this video. This is a pretty short video relative to the other ones that I post usually. I mean, it's just not really a whole lot more that I could say on this. I'm sure I could ramble on for another 10, 20, 30 minutes, but I would just be talking in circles, and that's not really productive in any way. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. If you feel like sharing your opinions on this matter, uh, feel free to drop a comment about it on the video. You don't have to. Um, as with most of my videos, this is just one outlet that I use to uh, get these things out, because otherwise they'd just be rattling around in my head for days on end. So, yeah, I will see y'all in the next video. Have an easier day.